that mirror there?
What mirror where?
Who can that attractive girl be?
Which what where hum?
Such a pretty face, such a pretty dress, such a pretty smile, such a pretty me.
I feel stunning, too, for another episode of the Top 10 Favorite, and from what I believe, friends, are the best performances by some of the greatest actresses in all of cinema.
What kind of an animal are you? And I said, I'm not an animal, I'm a girl. And he said, only animals allowed here, goodbye.
Nah, you can stay. I'm starting from 10 and then splendoring and entrancing and running and dancing for joy. All the way up to number 1.
Well, stop the world.
I will, for I have seen every film attainable, keyword, attainable, by every artist I cover here. So every list is locked in with striking, astonishing, alluring, and staggering accuracy.
You are staring straight into my eyes, which is impolite.
I'm sorry, we all can't help it. For today, we have to talk about one of the most iconic movie stars in all of cinema. Too iconic that when you hear her name, you often think of tragedy. But for today, my friends, we're only going to think of joy, inspiration, triumph, and beauty. You know her, Natalie Wood. Born as actually Natalia Nikolaevna Zarenko in lovely San Francisco of famous Russian descent, with Maria Gurdin as her mother, or rather Mud, you know, like in Mudda, Fada. And because of her mother's powerful pull on her daughter, she was encouraged to audition for studio execs to be in a commercial as a little girl who drops her ice cream. At only 4 years old, that little commercial led to such notice for big-time Hollywood work as one of the great child actors in Hollywood, changing her last name to Wood as a tribute to one of the most popular directors in Hollywood at the time, Sam Wood, no relation. Having been inspired by the likes of Bette Davis, Elizabeth Taylor, and Vivien Leigh, Vivien being her personal favorite, it was only a matter of time where Natalie would transition from the adorable, fearless child star to the major movie star as an adult, on her own will, ingenuity, and persona. And not just as a movie star, a real, honorable actor. My dear friends, let's get this out of the way point blank. I know it's hard that every time we hear Natalie Wood, we think of the infamous way she died. Her famous deep fear of dark water, which apparently, according to her own family, wasn't as severe as many made it out to be. And the publicity, the tabloids, the fables and conspiracies and tales surrounding her death with the Voldemort-esque villain, Robert Wagner, or, as they call him, RJ, the person of interest in the case, which, yes, outshines her miraculous work in cinema. But if you're really watching this, I think you're with me in wanting to always remember the legacy that Natalie left in Hollywood. The magic she left on screen, with a mother that was indeed the definition and epitome of a stage mom. Natalie had the challenge, she had the pressure, but like any amazing pro, Natalie used it for her work. Not a method actor, or even a student of the actor studio movement, literally per se, but as a film actor, she made herself available for every aspect of growth as an artist. They were watching her grow up on screen right before their eyes, which is why she remains one of the most iconic and heartwarming stories of a human being in film.
That's really wonderful.
You all know I only cover film here, and by God, was it horribly difficult to narrow down to 10. I always say that, it's always true, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Natalie's big-time work on television, that being her Golden Globe-winning performance as Karen Holmes in the 3-part miniseries of the classic From Here to Eternity.
I hope the next time we meet, Sergeant, there'll be some improvement in your manners.
Believe me, man, there was no offense meant.
Good.
At the age of 41, having done a mile of TV leading up to this, it is one of the grand performances on television that again made you hope you could see more of her. To many young actors, she was the great inspiration to pursue the craft, because not only was she a phenomenal actor when it came to the work and the process, she was a beautiful human being, inside and out. So beautiful that Entertainment Weekly rated Natalie on their top 100 greatest stars of all time list at number 70.
Hit your lights! Wish me luck! I'm gonna make a noise in the world!
She already has. So let's get pretty and start this chickie run with the top 10 best performances of one of cinema's greatest, impactful, and beautiful treasures, a real actor, Natalie Wood. We're starting off just fine at number 10 with All the Fine Young Cannibals.
I want to be loved by him. I want to be loved by someone. I need to be.
Now, I know what most of you might be thinking. How dare this even be included in the top 10? This film and Natalie's performance has, in my opinion, been sorely misjudged. For while the film isn't perfect, quite melodramatic, Natalie's performance as Sarah, or rather Salome, is divinely haunting, being the first film with she and husband Robert Wagner, or rather RJ, together, and in my opinion, it's their best collaboration between the star-crossed lovers. About a young girl in the South, Salome, who gets pregnant by Wagner's character, Chad, who's an up-and-coming jazz trumpeter. But afraid of her youthful pregnancy, she runs away and meets George Hamilton before the tan and marries him, while Wagner falls for Pearl Bailey. But the two may cross paths again, and you gotta ask yourself, does that young love get rekindled? Good old-fashioned Southern Gothic melodrama. And every time we cut back to Natalie, she gives her heart and soul to it. No question.
We've got to get married.
For what? So we can learn to hate each other? For what? So we can raise a tribe of squalling kids? Kids we can starve to death, kids we can beat the daylights out of when we're unhappy.
And there's no denying the grand chemistry between she and Wagner all throughout the film, but with some lines that really make you feel uneasy, like,
If I can't have you, then I want to hurt you. And I will.
yeah, retrospectively, that's honestly terrifying when you think about it, don't you think? But Natalie is authentically real, while at the same time giving the screen and the audience the gravitationally valiant melodrama that the story deserves.
I love you, Salome.
Number 9. Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice. Yowza! Certainly a novelty of its time of 1969, yet holds up hysterically well with Natalie as Carol, in this foursome married to Bob, played by Robert Culp, adjusting to the current times with extramarital affairs, an open marriage, which baffles their good friends Ted and Alice, making them physically ill, practically. But writer-director Paul Mazursky displays in the narrative how far conservative values can go off the rails, and yet can they ever sustain when it comes to true love? It's arguably Mazursky's best film, that Natalie knew it was a guaranteed winner, which technically brought her out of her long 3-year break from films, earning a deal with Columbia Pictures with a percentage of the gross, and this film being the 6th highest grossing film of the year of 1969, it was a good payday for Natalie. Her chemistry and comedic timing with this fantastic cast like Culp and Oscar nominees Elliot Gould and Diane Cannon is just as strong. She's perfectly suited as the liberal, easygoing wife. It's a very mature yet fun performance for Natalie, who was only 30 when she played Carol. Through her eyes, we do recognize that what the world really needs now is love.
Here's a toast to Bob and Carol and Ted and
That's
Al.
a good, I'll drink us. Hats and horns.
Of the grooviest people I've ever known.
Number 8, Miracle on 34th Street.
Well, young lady, what's your name?
Susan Walker, what's yours?
Mine? Kris Kringle. I'm Santa Claus. Oh, you don't believe that, do you?
Mm-mm. You see, my mother's Mrs. Walker, the lady who hired you. But I must say you're the best looking one I've ever seen.
Really?
Your beard doesn't have one of those things that goes over your ears.
Well, that's because it's real. Just like I'm really Santa Claus. Oh, go ahead, pull it.
This top 10 would not be complete without at least one entry of little Natalie in her precious beginnings of a child star. And her performance as Susan Walker, yes, is absolutely her best as a child. And not only because Miracle on 34th Street is one of the greatest movies ever made, let alone one of the greatest holiday films, but because Natalie elevates the endearing quality of it. If you didn't have actors that sold the fable as grounded reality, this would be nothing more than a made-for-TV Hallmark movie. But with everyone involved, like Maureen O'Hara, John Payne, and Oscar winner Kris Kringle himself, Edmund Gwenn, Natalie holds her own, stoutly, or should I say, Little Natasha, since Maureen O'Hara called her that all throughout filming, as Natasha also called her Mama Maureen during filming. At the time of 1947 for this film to be released, Natasha was already a busy star with filming 2 other films, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir and Scudda Hoo Scudda Hey in the same year. Catchy little number, isn't it? So Natasha already made it loud and clear to producers and artists alike, she was a big star in the making. Just sprinkling charm all over the set like tinsel on a tree, just as much as Edmund Gwenn was, whom Natasha believed without a doubt he really was Santa Claus, like all of us did. And well, he really is, right?
That's what I want for Christmas. If you're really Santa Claus, you can get it for me. And if you can't, you're only a nice man with a white beard, like Mother said.
Now, wait a minute, Susie. Just because every child can't get his wish, that doesn't mean there isn't a Santa Claus.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Number 7, Inside Daisy Clover.
Wish me luck! I'm gonna make a noise in the world!
I know, I wish this could be much higher as well. Because again, the sheer, utter rawness Natalie just breaks open in this film is catastrophically insane. In a good way, obviously. Based on the novel by Gavin Lambert, who also did the screenplay. It follows Daisy Clover, a sure, tough tomboy in 1936, dreaming of becoming a musical actress, and her dream slowly becomes realized when Raymond Swan, played by Christopher Plummer, gives her the shot. But her mother, played wonderfully by Ruth Gordon, is a deep, underlying thermostat for how Daisy could control her life and her emotions. Because Natalie's mother was indeed overbearing in real life, the action of Daisy Clover putting her mother in a mental institution was a little more than cathartic, wouldn't you say? But that's what makes Natalie's performance so real and heartbreaking. While the film itself is all over the place, drama upon drama, trauma upon trauma, resulting in flopping, Natalie still kicks the door open with some cojones, having such control over the picture too, and wanting screen unknowns to play important roles like Ruth Gordon and a young Robert Redford. It fits because she and Redford went to school together when they were just young kids. This is perfect. The scene in the recording booth alone is worth it all. Her singing voice was indeed dubbed by Jackie Ward, but it was Natalie that dubbed over our hearts in this one, earning her only a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress. Number 6, Rebel Without a Cause.
He needs me. He looks at me like I was the ugliest thing in the world. He doesn't like my friends. He doesn't like one thing about me. He called me a dirty tramp. My own father.
Oh, Judy. Troubled, rebellious youth at its finest. You hoodlums. How I love her performance here as Judy at the right age of 16 while making this film. Her rawness again, and yet maturity definitely pedals to the metal on the screen, like James Dean's 1949 Mercury Coupe in that Chickie run. Of course, this film is often cited as the James Dean masterpiece, and while I can agree, the film is not the elevated masterpiece without the support, notably from dear Natalie Wood, who fought hard to get this role. Hard! After director Nicholas Ray absolutely did not think she was right for it. Not dangerous enough to play such an angsty punk princess like Judy. Debbie Reynolds and Margaret O'Brien were both tested ahead of Natalie. Figure that out. Until Natalie got into a car accident, and no way she ain't calling her mother. She told the nurse to call up Nicholas Ray so she could immediately say to him, "The cops called me a juvenile delinquent. I got the part now, right?" Thus began a phenomenal turn for her as an actress with this role that her mother didn't want her to take. Natalie certainly took on the title of Rebellion by taking it anyway and connecting with James and Sal Mineo. Vibrant chemistry when you see them together. And to see how Natalie is technically part of the insurgent movement of method acting with these two. These three, actually, including Nicholas Ray, with whom she had an apparent affair with him being almost 30 years her senior. Yuck. But Natalie said she always liked older men, which only allegedly led to another little affair with Dennis Hopper while filming, resulting in Ray cutting most of Hopper's scenes. Scandalous business. But in the end, God, Natalie is truly astounding in her performance, which she received her first ever Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. That was a clear marker on where she was going as an actor. How many hearts she would break along the way, but also how many hearts she would warm along the revolutionary dirt path of acting. Number 5, Gypsy.
Nobody laughs at me because I laugh first at me. Me from Seattle. Me with no education. Me with no talent, as you've kept reminding me my whole life. Well, Mama, look at me now. I'm a star.
Now, again, I know what some of you might be thinking. This is way, way too low, or even way too high. Gypsy is no doubt one of those films in the love it or hate it category. Same with Natalie's performance. And at the end of the day, when it comes to Natalie as Louise here, who would become the famous icon of burlesque, Gypsy Rose Lee.
Let me entertain you.
That's right. I love it. You have a great opportunity for Natalie, who is still on the transition period to become a full-blown adult Hollywood actress with great respect. And what a role like this as the pitiful Louise, Rose's other daughter, who doesn't seem to have as much talent like her sister Dainty June. But when the shit hits the fan, I think Rose has a dream.
I had a dream about you, baby.
And she pushes Louise to become the next star ticket for Rose. Of course, there's nothing like Rosalind's powerhouse performance as Rose here, but with the combined powers of Roz and Natalie, who became dear friends while making this, they build each other up, feeding off each other like real pros. That makes Louise's transition to becoming Gypsy the more impactful. Natalie was just on cloud 9, with the real Gypsy Rose Lee assisting her with the dance moves, along with Natalie doing her own singing, which even during a burlesque performance, there was surely a lot of heart put into that. A lot of vulnerability and oomph.
Look where I'm going. I'm not staying in burlesque. I'm moving. Maybe up, maybe down. But wherever it is, I'm enjoying it. I'm having the time of my life. Because for the first time, it is my life. And I love it. I love every second of it. And I'll be damned if you're going to take it away from me.
For Natalie's grand performance as the one and only Gypsy Rose Lee, she earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress, which I believe she deserved. It was the ever so rewarding for Miss Gypsy Rose Lee.
Mama? I'm pretty. I'm a pretty girl, Mama.
Number 4, West Side Story.
Because tonight is the real beginning of my life as a young lady of America.
Nope, this is not a mistake. And if you fight me on this, folks, I love you anyway, but you are respectfully wrong. I want so desperately to even place this even higher. Natalie Wood's heartwarming, heart-breaking performance as Maria was the performance that made me sit up, sink in, fall in love, and fall apart as a teenager. And surprise, surprise, nothing has changed. We can talk all day long, all year long, about how inaccurate, how retrospectively wrong it is to have Natalie play Maria of this classic Broadway musical that is 100% meant for a Hispanic actor. No question. This certainly would not happen today, nor should it. The argument indeed has always stood that this was classic Hollywood. Time and time again, producers would cast Caucasian actors in multicultural roles, if you even resembled a little bit of a different ethnicity. When you shove all the things wrong with Natalie playing Maria, the criticism on her accent, her spray-painted skin color to resemble Puerto Rican, her technique as a dancer in some scenes.
Listen and hear me.
Look at her dear performance. Look how much love and integrity she gives Maria. If you think this was bad, oh my goodness, you do not want to see her performance in The Burning Hills with Tab Hunter.
You dirty gringos! You're no good! None of you!
She encapsulates all of the beauty within Maria, the modern Juliet to Tony's Romeo. Even when she is lovingly dubbed by the legendary Marni Nixon in her musical numbers, which Natalie certainly didn't like, she still sells them like a Broadway star. She worked endlessly in her own rehearsals, cramming 4 weeks of rehearsal into weekends. She had to do more work than everybody, which she had no issue with at all. Every scene she has with her Tony, Richard Beamer, is filled with such magic that I melt every single time. And yes, thousands of thanks to Jerome Robbins and Robert Wise, the whole team, for bringing one of the greatest musicals to life on screen, but it's boosted with Natalie's honesty and heightened aria. Hands down, folks. Hands down. Every single time it comes to our fateful ending here. Spoilers if you haven't seen it. Where have you been? The love of her life on this side of the jets is gone, and both gangs are ready to rumble again, and she has that gut-wrenching speech that tears me to pieces.
How do you fire this gun, Chino? Just by pulling this little trigger? How many bullets are left, Chino? Enough for you? And you? All of you! You all killed him, and my brother, and Riff. Not with bullets and guns, with hate. Well, I can kill too, because now I have hate. How many can I kill, Chino? How many? And still have one bullet left for me.
And then her operatic outburst when Lieutenant Schrank goes for Tony's body.
Don't you touch him!
It's a majestical performance in a masterpiece film. Maria, the most beautiful sound you ever heard. Now, number 3, this property is condemned.
Want to dance with me? Would you rather dance with Mama? Who do you want, JJ? Who'd you rather have, Mama or me? Tell her who you'd rather dance with.
Now, this cursed production gets to be higher here for while this film adaptation of Tennessee Williams' play of the same name was so doomed with an unfinished script adaptation that was so bad that Williams wanted his name off the film. Natalie still gives it her all. It's a gutsy performance that goes heavy into the realm of grounded drama and heightened camp, just like a character of Tennessee Williams would go to. She plays Alva Starr, who surely dreams of becoming a star, getting the hell out of Mississippi and heading to New Orleans, where a new handsome stranger is from, that stranger being Robert Redford. The big question is, can she escape before her own mother keeps pimping her out, which could lead to disastrous results? Once again, the metaphor on Natalie's own life, the allegory itself, is just always on display and so strong. And honest to God, when it comes to a visceral vulnerability on screen, Natalie makes us sweat and weep at the same time for her. Through hard times on the set, it puts even more pressure on the actor to make the narrative work in continuity. And that's where the actor can really flourish and prove themselves in a mixed bag of treatments. This was basically the film where Natalie let the method do its job on her, for her drunken scene actually being drunk while shooting that scene, but then sadly attempting suicide while filming, which delayed production as you can imagine. However, for Natalie's powerful commitment to Alva, she earned another Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress, and in my opinion, again this should have been another nomination for the Oscars as well.
Anxious to get back to it now too, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm anxious to get back, and I'm going. And I meant every word I said about you.
Lying under false...
Yes!
Tricking you.
Yes!
Liar.
Yes! Yes!
Liar.
Oddly enough, and Natalie spoke about this on the Dick Cavett Show, she was also nominated and won the Harvard Lampoon Award for Worst Actress of the Year, and the year before and next. And like a brilliant sport, she actually showed up and accepted the award. Now that's the kind of person I would want to be friends with. Number 2, Love with the Proper Stranger.
I know this may come as a great big shock to the both of you, but underneath all this hair and skin is a human girl with all the regular things going for me. And believe it or not, I don't want to spend the rest of my life married to a man who's doing me a big favor.
Of course, Angie Rossini, the other iconic performance that earned Natalie her second Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. Rightfully so, as a lovely, structured Catholic Italian Macy's clerk who has a one-night stand with proper stranger in question, Steve McQueen, but then gets pregnant. She reaches out to McQueen and wants to work together to get money for an abortion. But will true love maybe keep them and the baby together? Question mark?
I want to get married.
Tell the truth. If I said okay, your teeth would fall out.
Directed by Robert Mulligan, you know what a controversial subject this film is. But Natalie knew the public was ready for this kind of story. With the right director and right leading man, whom you would have thought it would be Warren Beatty, since they were allegedly dating at the time, resulting in Natalie and Robert Wagner's first divorce. And final product of McQueen and Wood is just exquisite. They work off each other wonderfully. Set on location in Little Italy, New York, with Natalie really embodying the inner sweetness and emotional turbulence that Angie has to fight through.
Come on, get your clothes. Get your clothes on. Come on, I want you to get out of here. Get your clothes on. No. Get your... Get your clothes on now. Kill him before I let you touch him.
Though the film received mixed reviews, not a box office success either, Natalie had said making this film was the most rewarding experience she ever had in filmmaking all the way around.
I think you're something. I mean that. And I just wanted to tell you.
Thank you.
Now, you gracious folks, here are some honorable mentions for you. Penelope. Yes. Natalie had a run of comedies in the mid to late 60s, didn't she? And her sophisticatingly absurd Penelope is a grand delight, with one disguising as an elderly robber of her husband's bank in the beginning. That's pretty fun. Coming to find out how much of a kleptomaniac she really is, ridden with guilt of robbing her own husband's bank. It's not every day you find a 60s comedy that makes rape by Jonathan Winters an utter farce. Or is it? The film was indeed a flop, an uncomfortable experience for Natalie, having been infected with hives, her mental health suffering, resulting in her not making another film for 3 years. But it still shows Natalie in her winsome example of adventurous fun. Even more of her own singing, which is quite fitting here. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, the made-for-television adaptation that was produced on Sir Laurence Olivier's anthology series. Laurence Olivier Presents, with Sir Laurence as Big Daddy, Natalie as Maggie the Cat, and you can guess who Brick was, RJ, whom she remarried at this point. Criticism has been given about how much older both Wagner and Wood were for their respective roles, and I do agree. However, we have to respect the amount of levity Natalie still gives Maggie in a lot of her scenes. The Cracker Factory, the made-for-TV event of a film that was quite a turn for Natalie, but gave Natalie that other chance of bringing a three-dimensional take on a housewife and mother institutionalized from a serious nervous breakdown. Based on the novel again, Natalie busts out the bravery as you would expect in a role that is so hard to take. It's so grounded in reality that it shakes the factory. The Great Race. Absolutely hysterical and legendary, mostly thanks to Jack Lemmon's brilliance, but also Natalie's grand supporting suffragette entering such a race from New York to Paris with Tony Curtis in their third film together, featuring, of course, quote, the greatest pie fight ever. End quote. And while that's debatable, Natalie certainly is utterly gorgeous, though it was one of the worst times for her making the film. She absolutely didn't want to do it, but the studio granted a deal. If she did The Great Race, she would get inside Daisy Clover, which was a good deal, so on she went. Head first into a pie, why don't you? But when they wrapped, she apparently swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills and had to be hospitalized. But what's left is a professional at work, diving herself into fencing lessons and cigar smoking lessons. With her 19 wardrobe changes, her great use of her own Russian language, and yet taxing energy, she still shows you can have a great time in this Oscar-winning, overblown budget cult classic.
Who are you?
I am a female, past the age of consent. I was the first woman to edit the newspaper at my college, and I shall remain handcuffed to this door until I become the first female reporter of the New York Sentinel.
Now, our last honorable mention is, of course, Brainstorm. You know it, the infamous sci-fi drama which ended up being Natalie Wood's last film, released posthumously due to her sudden, saddening, and tragic death, having drowned. The story is one of the most legendary in Hollywood, for it was ruled as an accidental drowning. But of course, everyone and their mother have their own theories on how Natalie drowned. Did she accidentally fall off? Or did someone push her off? Some say even Christopher Walken, her co-star on Brainstorm, even played a part, being that he was on the boat when it happened, or at least knows something about it, which he has been quiet about ever since. Hard to say, since there was a rumored and alleged affair happening between Walken and Natalie during filming. In the end, the final result of the sci-fi drama we now have, that director Douglas Trumbull had to change a lot of lanes to make it work effectively, including having Natalie's own sister, Lana, come in and do some stand-in work for Natalie. The remains of Natalie's performance in the film is still so effective and tenderly good. This was her Hollywood return to do a big budget film with more Oscar-winning artists. But people will always mourn the great loss of such a beautiful legend gone way too soon. Number 1. My goodness, yes, my friends. Splendor in the Grass.
When we grow up, that we have to forget the ideals of youth and find strength as men am. May I please be?
So classic. You may say it's very easy to confirm her career-turning performance as Wilma Dean Loomis, or rather, Deanie, in William Inge's classic as her total tip-top best. But when you examine her performance from beginning to end, that's no fluke, that's no mistake, and that is certainly no overhype. You have a groundbreaking arc for a female lead that is an inspiration for many maturing young actresses to this day. It is a perfect performance to show any first-timers watching Natalie Wood's character grow from a young, naive girl in love with Bud, played by an egotistical Warren Beatty, or Beatty, potato, what do you want, to experiencing the hardships of losing your first love and becoming the person you never thought you would. But with director Elie Kazan behind the camera, we experience the heightened drama with Deanie of lost love and contented regret. As a film, it is very uneven, for in the first half, you feel Natalie is merely a side character, when Elia's mistress, soon-to-be wife, Barbara Loden, gets more of the juice on screen, for obvious reasons. But Natalie was always there, always present. And then, when we really get to Natalie, she takes the reins. She controls every frame. She always did steal focus, unintentionally of course, but when you just look into her eyes, that haunted quality just lives in this story as a fresh diamond in the rough hell of Kansas in the late 1920s. Kazan was obviously against a former child star like Natalie to take on this role, but when Natalie gave it everything she got, Kazan, inspired, made it a point to bring the real actor out of her, which is on full display when we look at that bathtub scene. Ooh, boy, that bathtub scene with her mother, played equally as powerfully by Audrey Christie. Your heart stops.
Did he spoil you?
Spoil? Did he spoil me? No! No, Mom! I'm not spoiled! I'm not spoiled, Mom! I'm just as fresh and I'm virginal like the day I was born, Mom!
Stop it! Stop
I'm
it!
a lovely virginal creature. One thing to be spoiled, darling. Stop it, please. Girl,
Down.
I'm gonna
This was a major turning point for Natalie that made any critic, any audience member who followed her on screen since she was a child, open their eyes with admiration, with mad respect, just as Natalie wanted in her career, hating every minute working with Beatty, but falling for him when production wrapped. Not only is Natalie living in Deanie, delivering on all cylinders vocally, but especially in silence. When we come to the bitter end, when we see Deanie visit Bud years later in his new life, that silence on Natalie's face when Hazel and June ask her,
Deanie, honey, do you think you still love him?
Her eyes say everything we need to feel. Grief, pain, and yet true love for Natalie. She earned her first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress that many feel she should have won over Sophia Loren for Two Women. But that's neither here nor there. What lasts is the work, the real work that Natalie cared about. More than money, more than fame, the work.
Though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor in the grass, glory in the flower, we will grieve not, but rather find strength in what remains behind.
Very fitting, isn't it? So fitting that, yes, it would be used in Natalie's own documentary, What Remains Behind, produced by HBO and Natalie's own amazing daughter, Natasha, which if you have not seen, I highly, highly recommend, please. But it is so true relating to Natalie's own career and life, to not grieve. Find the strength in what remains behind. Though it is ever so challenging to do so when we look at all the powerful and beautiful performances she left behind. As said earlier, the tabloid drama never ends for Dear Natalie. Having a 2-part miniseries made of her life in 2004, The Mystery of Natalie Wood, directed by Peter Bogdanovich, surprisingly, which is fine as a Lifetime made-for-TV series can be, but you almost feel like Natalie Wood would be cursed. Having that legend told to us that Natalie was given a premonition that she would die by water one day. On top of that, her own dear daughter Courtney would suffer a drug addiction, and Natalie's own sister, Svetlana, would profit from the tabloid stories about her own sister, etc., etc. All of the stories become fluff because of people's vulturous hunger for drama. Most just can't help it. I'm here, and always will be here, to celebrate the beauty of an artist's life. An artist that really inspired the hell out of me, that showed me an actor can really be more than looks. They can really give us life. They can awake something in us. And behind those dark, brown, and haunted eyes that Natalie possessed, there was something more that she wanted out of life. I think when you watch the documentary of her life and the suspected foul play that had been hammered to death about RJ's involvement, I think it puts to rest on the hate for RJ. Did he instigate rage within the relationship out of jealousy, driving Natalie to more alcohol? Absolutely. Did he actually push Natalie off the boat, resulting in her drowning? I don't believe so. Because overall, they loved each other. They all loved each other. Who couldn't love Natalie? The woman with such a love for life, for wild adventures, which could turn some heads. Yes, the alleged affairs galore. We know this. No one is perfect, but the mother who so loved her children and did whatever she could for them. A beautiful, exquisite artist who did everything for the craft and did everything to touch the audience's soul.
I cannot stay. Go quickly.
I'm not afraid.
Please.
Ain't that the truth? Yes. But tell me, my friends, do you agree with my picks? What are your favorite performances by one of cinema's best stars, Natalie Wood? Please share in the comments, keep that dialogue going, and please click that like button, subscribe, ring that bell to stay updated when new content comes out, and yes, please check out the Patreon page for voting and become a YouTube member for same voting and exclusive content coming your way soon. I can't thank you all enough for watching and supporting from the bottom of my heart. But until next time,
Buenas noches.